So, this is actually my second take of doing this. Thankfully, I didn't really get far in my first take. Because I didn't think I'd need my laptop for this in case I need to look up anything. And, yeah, I did. So before I get into the topic of today's video, as per seen in the title of the YouTube video, before I get into my low, my high, my act of kindness, although what I'm about to say could be considered a high, is last night the singing voices for Huntrix, EJ, Audrey Nuna, and Ray and Me, who are the voices of Rumi, Mira, and Zoe respectively, they were on Jimmy Fallon last night, and Jimmy Fallon was the one who broke the news to them that they just went platinum. That is awesome. Like, honestly, K-pop Demon Hunters as a whole is becoming that franchise where all of the elements were meant to work together, and therefore it was all meant to be. I mean, I don't think anyone ever could have thought that this movie would have, like, I mean, this movie was going to be good, don't get me wrong, but the popularity that it has, my God, it's incredible. I mean, frankly, here's the thing. As much as I love hearing about, like, the accomplishments of, artists and musicians, which is always really great. I mean, if I like them, it doesn't really matter to me if they ever win awards. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, it's awesome, but it never really occurs to me about stuff like that. And speaking of things that never occur to me, there's some things in this video I'm going to be talking about. But before I get to that, let's get to my low and my high, my act of kindness. Let's see. I guess my low is right now my mom is in surgery for something. Nothing major, but yeah, I am a little bit worried. But my high is I did get to talk to her, a couple times yesterday, including last night before I went to bed. And for my act of kindness, I know I held the door for some people. Also called my mom. That's an act of kindness as well. Yeah, so enough with the chit chat. Let's get into playing Kingdom Hearts. So a week ago, we left off with Chucky Connor about to face who would be the guard armor in Traverse Town. And as someone who's played both the original and Final Mix, which is the definitive version, I'm very well aware that they really did a lot to change the color schemes of the Heartless. For example, guard armor itself, in the original game, it was like almost all purple. Imposing, intimidating to be sure. But in the Final Mix, it's like this combination of white, a little bit of red, some blue here and there. And yeah, it's a great design. I really like that. He gets the fire ability, and I love that he calls it a pea shooter. Yeah, I guess it is kind of like a pea shooter. I mean, he is right. When you upgrade, spoiler, you upgrade your spells, fire does become a lot better. And speaking of spells, after traversing around Traverse Town, see what I did there, he goes to his next world, which he chooses to go to Olympus Coliseum. But before he does that, I gotta also say, as someone who really did not remotely care about doing anything Gummy Garage related, I never did anything in my Gummy ship, like ever. And Chucky Connor himself even says this, you don't really need to do anything to your Gummy ship, and you can get to world to world just fine. Sort of. But it is really cool that, Trevor Conroy is actually showing off how to do. Like, I could never figure out how that garage worked. I never could. Honestly, again, the gummy garage is something that you can choose to do or not. It really doesn't progress the story any. It's just another fun thing to do in the game. But speaking of fun things to do in the game, Jerry Conroy then flies to Olympus Coliseum, as I said earlier. And he's there for maybe 5 minutes at tops because he only went to get the Thunder Spell. Which, yeah, you can do, but then he just leaves. Like, he leaves Olympus Coliseum to go back to Travis Town and then to Wonderland. Which, I mean, years ago when I first played Kingdom Hearts, I accidentally chose Olympus Coliseum, not knowing what world was which, of course. And, I mean, I said this before, I'm a level grinder. I make sure I'm leveled up as much as I can before I go to the next thing and take on the boss and then go to the next thing. Back then, though, I'm like, I want to see the next place now. And believe me, I lost a lot of fights in Kingdom Hearts my first playthrough. And I was playing on normal. Actually, I only ever played on normal in Kingdom Hearts once. Only once. After that, it was expert all the way through in the original game. Never did anything. And in terms of Kingdom Hearts 2, I always did proud mode. So, there you go. Again, man, if you level grind, you can get through pretty much anything. Although I will admit, I did kind of have that problem in Kingdom Hearts 2 where I did want to see what happened next. You live, you learn. Anyway. So, he goes to Wonderland, and I definitely agree with him when he said, Wonderland is definitely not a place I would have ever considered for a world in Kingdom Hearts, but as I've gotten older, it actually works as a great first world to go to. And it actually opens up several avenues that you wouldn't see unless you do Wonderland first. I'll get to that in a second. If you don't know what happens in Wonderland, spoiler alert, by the way, Alice is on trial for stealing the heart of the Queen of Hearts, even though it was really the Heartless that did that. And Sora, Donald, and Goofy are trying to clear her name. They wind up doing that, but someone kidnaps Alice. Essentially, it was the Heartless that did that. So, before Sora, Donald, and Goofy leave, they fight the main boss of that world, which is a giant Heartless known as the Trickmaster. And remember how I said that for the final mix they redid the color scheme of a lot of the Heartless? Trickmaster is another one they did where I both agree and kind of disagree with Trevor Conroy on this. I mean, the original design for the Trickmaster in the original game was like this giant red and black imposing figure, which it was. For Final Mix, though, they made it more pastel colors. Think more like light green and like lavender, I think it is. Or maybe like light pink. I mean, it is different. I will admit I was taken aback by it a little bit, but over the years, looking at that design, even looking at it now, I don't necessarily mind as much as Chuck Conroy did. Plus nothing else in Wonder. And here's the thing. Chuck Conroy always wants to do what he can to show off like everything that the boss does. Like the Trickmaster will go over to the stove, light his clubs on fire to throw them at you. I've never really seen that, but that's because, again, I level grind and I can take care of the boss pretty easily. So he beats Wonderland, and instead of going to Olympus Coliseum, he goes to Deep Jungle. Because, well, for a couple things. One of which being the rewards you get for completing Deep Jungle are actually worth, the extra difficulty and, enemy power. In case you don't know how it works, is the battle level of each world is based on the number of stars. Like, obviously, the more stars a world has, the more difficult the battles are. Like, Wonderland only has 1 star, Olympus Coliseum is 2 stars, Deep Jungle has 3 stars, so on and so forth. So, he goes to Deep Jungle, and it's funny. I played Kingdom Hearts enough to know to even now, without even thinking, I could legit like listen to the music from the game in my head. But the music is something I never really sought out a game for. Shaka Khan, and he's done this for many of the games he's played. Like, he will always praise the soundtrack whenever necessary. Trust me, he's going to be doing that. I already know he's going to be doing that a lot in this series. It doesn't take a genius to figure that part out. He does everything in Deep Jungle. He gets, like, all the collectibles he can get. He talked about his experiences with... Actually, he also talked about his experience with watching Wonderland, too, and he thinks it's fine. He thinks it's a good movie, but Deep Jungle, though, I mean, Tarzan, he really does believe is one of Disney's best. Especially with how they did the surfing on vine scenes, where they did a really great job combining 3D and 2D animation. Like, even now, it's still, like, I just saw it earlier. It holds up beautifully. Disney knew what they were doing back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Actually, no, it was the late 90s, because Tarzan came out in 1999. I remember because I actually saw it on my last day of school. It's pretty awesome when that happened. Let's see. What else happened? I mean, yeah. It's pretty obvious that Clayton is the villain of the movie, and he's also who you fight in Kingdom Hearts. Although, something that Chuck Conway brings up is Clayton dies in the movie in a rather gruesome way. And he dies in the game, too, in Kingdom Hearts. Like, to my knowledge, and this is something I never would have thought of, Clayton is technically the only human being that Sora inadvertently kills. I mean, granted, I say inadvertently. See, Clayton's heart attracted a giant heartless known as the Stealth Snake, basically a giant chameleon-looking heartless. And the way that Clayton dies, per se, is the heartless collapses on top of Clayton, and that, kills him. Again, Sora inadvertently kills him. Okay. I never really would have thought of it that way, but yeah, it's true. In Deep Jungle, in Final Mix, there's those. It's a black heartless. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. I'm so sorry. That you get a special item from if you do that, and he also farmed a lot of the white mushroom stuff, which is great. You gotta do that. Which actually, if the white mushrooms actually do charades. Like if they shiver, you gotta use fire on them. If they're fanning themselves, you gotta use blizzard. If there's a light over their head, you do thunder. If they're laying on the ground, you do cure, which is the new spell you get in Deep Jungle. And if you do that to a white mushroom 3 times in a row, you get the arts for that specific spell, which is needed for a very good item later in the game. Rather, it's much later, but still. And speaking of items, I love that Chugga Conroy just prioritized getting the heaviest hitting attacking weapons for Donald and Goofy from the shop in Traverse Town. Like, Goofy got the Smasher. Donald got, I forget the name of the rod he got, but yeah. He got a rod for Donald to hit harder with. He's also been getting a lot of really good luck with getting, like, Protect Chains, so Currently, everyone on his team is really tanky right now. That's funny. Um, he got a lot of synthesis materials. He collected all the items to get for the vine surfing mini game, which I'm not entirely sure if I did that myself. Although I can't talk about items you get from Deep Jungle without talking about Sora's new keychain, the Jungle King, which you get from beating Deep Jungle. Before he gets it though, in Wonderland and Deep Jungle especially, Sora did what's called sealing the keyholes in those worlds. Basically, when you seal the keyhole in those worlds, Heartless can't get to it. That world is safe. Cool. The keychain for Jungle King actually has a blue butterfly at the end of it, which is in reference to the fact that the keyhole in Deep Jungle was not only surrounded by blue butterflies, but in the movie Tarzan, there's a blue butterfly that lands on Tarzan's face, but the way the wings are, like, it's like eye shapes on the wings, so it looks like the butterfly's wings are Tarzan's eyes, which is actually a really neat trick to do in a movie. That's a really nice detail. Also referring to Sabor as a she. I mean, again, this is just so much stuff I never would have thought of or thought about doing. Like, for example, in Traverse Town, after you get the fire spell, you can actually go see Merlin. I never would have thought to do that right away. I mean, granted, if I would ever pick up Kingdom Hearts again, it'd be the final mix, I'm not entirely sure if I would do what he's doing, but I am glad I'm learning a lot. And it's making me see the game from a different perspective, which honestly, that's what Charlie Conroy set out to do, and he's doing a great job at it so far. I'm really digging what I see. So yeah, last night's episode ended with Trevor Conroy completing everything in Deep Jungle, and Lord knows what's coming next. I mean, I imagine he's going to go to Olympus Coliseum because that's the only place he hasn't really fully explored yet. Although, with everything he's done, especially all the level ups he's gotten, there's actually 2 really difficult boss fights in Olympus Coliseum at this point in the game. He should be able to steamroll both of them. Well, granted, one of these boss fights you don't necessarily need to win in order to progress the story. And if you guys have ever played Kingdom Hearts, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But he should definitely win them both. Both boss fights for sure. Also, I wonder how he's going to set up his customize. Because if you don't know, you can actually press R1 on the PS controller, or PS2 controller, or maybe it's PS5, I don't know, any of the PS controllers, if you're playing Kingdom Hearts. And it shortcuts to the magic spells you have. Like, you press triangle, square, or X for, whatever spell it is. And I wonder how he's going to set it up. I imagine, well, he's been spamming Thunder a lot, so he's definitely going to have Thunder in his arsenal for this foreseeable future. I know by the end of my game, Thunder was one of the spells I had in my custom. Actually, I don't know. Because all the spells you get in the first Kingdom Hearts game are pretty great. I guess it would depend on, because Cure you always want to have in one of your customizes. That's a given. No one's arguing with that. As well as another spell that he hasn't quite gotten yet, but he's going to get soon. And for the third spell, I mean, Fire, Thunder, Blizzard, you could have any of those 3 and you'd be fine. Although there actually is one very, 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 very late game boss where you actually want to have all 3 Fire, Blizzard, and Thunder in your arsenal. in your customized arsenal. Again, if you play Kingdom Hearts, you know exactly what fight I'm talking about. But with that said, I'm really digging this. Again, it's all nostalgic for me. Again, I love hearing Checker Conroy talk about Disney facts, such as the fact that Kate Beaumont, the original voice of Alice from the movie Alice in Wonderland, reprised her role in Kingdom Hearts. Not to mention, Kate Beaumont is 88 years old as of this video, and she's still voicing Alice. That's the equivalent of Masako Nozawa still being the voice of Goku at age 89. That's crazy, but it's so cool. Man, this whole series is cool. I'm really enjoying this. So thank you, Chuck Conroy. Can't wait to do this next week. Hope you like this video. If you like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on social media. As always, I'm helping this video for all you guys to watch and enjoy today. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. And remember, if you guys want to talk change, we're here to lend you always back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.